So we see Dinkabui going first, quite already, of course, a positive start for him, and he does have the normal summon of Ulcanix. And look at that, Tony has to read Ulcanix in the finals of a YCS. Sure enough, he did not come prepared for this matchup.
It's very difficult to play a YCS final and not knowing what your opponent is up to.
Yeah, that happened a lot in Europe. I'm gonna be honest, there were so many Rika decks where the cards had to be read by the opponent, and now we have fully understood Ulcanix. Let's see if Tony has an answer to it or he lets it resolve. And this is already full combo for Dinkabui, which most of the time ends up being 2 monsters.
Yep, exactly. His full combo is pretty minimalistic, but it is looking like we are going to get to it because not only the Runix is going to come to the field, but also the Ulcanix, and that's quite important in this scenario, is going to be changing its level. Ulcanix will become a level 8 monster and therefore is going to be able to be used for the Sanctuary of the Fire Kings, probably coming to the field later on.
And now Dinkabui can choose between 2 routes, because he can now pop the Kirin from the deck for the Garunix and summon back Ponix and search either Sanctuary to have the rank 8 play or search for Skyburn.
His favorite card this weekend, to be honest.
Yeah. This card has helped him a lot, but maybe he has access to both of those. But Tony is considering to react to the Kirin effect, I think.
Is there possibly a Dominus Impulse which we could use on that? I think that might be a decent timing for it. And we see Tony considering, but no, we do have the allowance of that and Ponix back to the field.
And this is the difficult part about not knowing what your opponent is up to, because Tony right now doesn't understand where exactly needs to hit his hand up.
Yeah, I mean, if you have Dominus Impulse in hand, it's also a decent point to be made that you just throw it on the Garunix.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you can also still keep Impulse for your turn. I'm sure it will be impactful, but yes, the add of Ponix is very relevant here.
Viking Sanctuary right away also being activated, of course, bringing us the iconic and so old at this point Fire King Island directly to the field. This was quite the addition, quite the boost to the strategy overall, having such consistent access to the main field spell that gets our plays going.
That is an interesting one, not choosing to destroy the Ponix to add it back very soon. But have we even normal summoned?
Oh, yes, we did start with the Ulcanix, of course. But we do now use the graveyard effect of Ulcanix as well, trying to bring out... Okay, for the moment... Oh, wow. Look at that Molcharmi Fuvalos very, very late. But I mean, Dinkabui didn't give him any chance to activate it earlier. And that is partly the reason why Dinkabui has been so successful with the Fire King control strategy, because he is just very, very fine with this Molcharmi Fuvalos basically being everybody's main deck.
Yep. He said it in an interview later on. It's basically sometimes an upstart, sometimes not even that. And this time around, I think he's fine with it being an upstart. Is he playing any triple tactics cards that could be useful now?
I don't think he does. He's focusing on other things.
More interruptions, maybe. Yeah.
Exactly. So, anything else we want to add here? I think Dinkabui also has to consider whether he maybe wants to go a little bit bigger of a combo here, but no, we just set 2 more cards. The classic picture. We had Dinkabui, of course, in multiple feature matches throughout this weekend, and it's the same as he was doing all the way through. Just a couple of monsters, a couple of set cards, and that shall be it. But can he defeat the explosive Maliss strategy, which starts off here strongly by activating Allure of Darkness?
Yep, Allure is certainly going to banish the Chassis Cat. Chassis Cat always also dangerous because sometimes, I mean, this card doesn't do really anything on its own, but if you have another Maliss card in hand, a monster, getting 2 draws and another special summon is huge sometimes.
However, Chassis Cat does not activate on summon, so Dinka can interrupt it with Skyburner.
Yeah. If he wants to, he can indeed. Also, we could, of course, just use the effect of Sanctuary, but I feel like Dinkabui wants more value out of the Garunix Eternity because there is the potential for the Maliss deck to summon many, many monsters, and therefore you definitely want to hold this interruption for a later point, I am almost certain.
But there is an argument to be made to just use it immediately because the deck has no problem getting Nibiru'd at all. And actually, that's because you also almost get a Link Spider out of that. But yeah, I think that the matchup could be bad enough for Fire Kings to basically have to activate something in response to the first thing.
Oh, look at that. All right, that works, of course. And I think what I like about this is it plays around the so popular triple tactic talents and also triple tactic thrust for the moment, of course.
The thing is, he didn't use his normal summon yet because he special summoned out the Chessy Cat with Allure of Darkness. So if there is a monster in hand, that monster can just come to the field naturally. But then you might have a very good Garunix.
That's what I mean. Oh,
second copy of
Allure of Darkness. We did not have access to the draw 2 that Chessy Cat is providing, but Allure of Darkness number 2, making it 4 cards in total that Tony has drawn now already.
This card has been a menace ever since.
Ooh, but he drew it to Dimension Shifter, which doesn't do anything here anymore. He needed that on his opening hand, but he did not have it there. Drawing into it here later on, when the graveyard is already filled with a couple of different cards.
Could see some cards in his hand so far. Doesn't look the craziest for Tony. He has to find a way to play around multiple possible interactions, so he knows about the Garunix of Eternity. But what else could there be? We have seen quite the cards from the decklist of Dinkabui already.
This is surprising, honestly.
Lingeribo?
Oh, it could be Lingeribo, which would be playing around additional trap cards, actually. But we do know that Dinkabui has a very good interruption being a spell card instead the Skyburn, but in case this is another Infinite Impermanence or also Dominus Impulse, this certainly doesn't hurt.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. However, if he commits now, the Garunix Eternity just gets better.
Oh yeah, you're right. And there is now the Druid's Worm.
Oh wow, we're trying to force it out here. I think we haven't normal summoned yet. And with the Druid's Worm plus Lingeribo to just basically preventing a Dominus Impulse with a Lingeribo, summoning out the Druid's Worm is very, very strong. And now we are forcing it out immediately. If you just go with a Link here, that's gonna be an issue.
Yes, because SP will be summoned and then Island will get banished and trigger.
That is true. Okay, and now the question though is, Garunix Eternity wants to destroy the entire field, and when it gets sent to the graveyard, I don't think it does activate its effect to bring back monsters, right? Or does it? No, it has to be destroyed. Therefore, Druid's Worm on the Garunix Eternity could lead to Dinkabui being left without any fire monsters, and that of course is what the Fire King deck always needs, a fire monster on the field.
Yep, and keep in mind, there is still not a normal summon from Tony. He hasn't committed anything, basically. The summons that he had so far were all based off of Chessy Cat being banished with the Allure of Darkness and, of course, later on with the Druid's Worm.
That is true. So Tony made sure this Garunix would not activate when it would be targeted by the Druid's Worm, and I think the only logical conclusion here has to be to activate the graveyard effect of this year Druid's Worm, targeting that Garunix Eternity, High-Yang of the Fire Kings, and there we have it.
And
it's
just
gone.
Immediately gets sent to the graveyard.
It's gone right away.
We know one card in the hand of Dinkabui, which is Avata, which at this point doesn't seem threatening at all. What I could see happening is that there is another Kirin in the hand of Dinkabui that he can then use to destroy the Avata and then trigger the Garunix in the graveyard. Oh, he sets a card!
But that could still mean nothing, because sometimes the Maliss player wants to set a trap card before normal summoning one of his Dormouses or White Rabbits, and there indeed is the White Rabbit.
That is a huge normal summon here. He got so much out of that Chessy Cat. He got a Lingeribo, got the Druid's Worm on the field, got a special summon from drawing 2 cards. Chessy Cat has been working over hours here, and now White Rabbit is there with a very much cleaned up field.
Yeah. And I have to say, other decks have been playing so many Bystials, and they couldn't really use them at all against Dinkabui because there were never any light or dark monsters in the graveyard. Now with the Maliss deck though, the good thing is that they actually support your plays, but they actually get your engine rolling, and therefore it is much better to be used. And Tony shows us that here in style.
Also, there is the thing that Maliss is incredibly strong in Game 1, where there are no Lancea or Meowls or Chaos Hunters in the main deck, actually relevant here.
Oh, yep.
So this is the deck that Maliss really, really needs to win. And Dinkabui has had a decent start. He has more cards that we don't know of. So Tony is in a good position now, but right, White Rabbit.
And I think Bystial was activated probably.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, and there's the Ball Drake, and White Rabbit wants to come back now as well. More and more monsters. The potential Link Free and Link Freeze are the important, the dangerous Link monsters for
Kirin
the Maliss
for
deck. But
Avata.
Dinkabui ain't done yet. He does have a Kirin in hand indeed to pair it up with the Avata.
And now Avata gets to trigger, and Garunix as well. And Garunix can destroy another Kirin from deck, so we actually get to use one more destructive effect. We also don't know the last set card. Could be a Skyburn, which would be absolutely huge.
It would indeed be. And if you can say one thing about Dinkabui, he always is waiting for the perfect moment. And he, again, held that here for so long, now trying to prevent once more the Link Free from being summoned. And I think we even get back the Avatar here possibly,
yeah,
right?
exactly. The Kirin is not only a pop, it's also getting back this negate. All of a sudden, Dinkabui is just back on the field here with one more set card that we don't know of.
Yeah, for a moment it was 3-0 in the favor of Tony in terms of monsters on the field, but now I think those circumstances are going to change in a moment.
However, at this moment, what will you destroy with Kirin? I mean, of course, White Rabbit is a target, but then GWC can be chained to it.
Yeah, probably just for Jury's Room, right?
I mean, GWC can't be chained because it's not targeting with Kirin.
Oh, true, very much.
So Kirin can either can just destroy it, and GWC can't be activated for the rest of the turn because there's no Maliss monster to be banished.
Yeah, you're right.
Ooh, that is very, very big.
But if we do go down that route, we could go into Splash Mage potentially, and Splash Mage could bring back again
There's
one of
Ball
those.
Drake. It's a dragon.
Ooh,
It's not a Cybers.
you're right. Okay, so I think there are some routes here to be considered for Dinkabui, and he is destroying the Ball Drake. So Tony allowed it, and Dinka made the decision to get rid of the only dragon monster on his opponent's side of the field.
I mean, at this point, I'm fully trusting Dinkabui to know what he's doing in this situation. But of course, it leaves Tony open to do more Cybers plays here.
It does indeed, but maybe that is what the last set card is there for from Dinka. And also, let's not forget about the Avatar. And one crucial thing here is, I think we had to get rid of the Ball Drake because it would just otherwise be able to attack over the Avatar and then guarantee Tony free play in main phase 2. Therefore, it was a scary card to be facing there. And just to protect the Avatar, to get the value out of the negation effect out of it, we had to destroy the Ball Drake there.
Yep, because otherwise, could just go into SP Little Knight.
Indeed. So now Tony has to consider his options.
Right.
I think we're clarifying on amount of monsters being summoned here, possibly, because Nibiru, of course, is not just necessarily on your opponent's turn, but you could also use it on your turn. How many monsters did Dinkabui summon here? It was quite a bit, right? Could be 5 at this point.
I mean, I think it's actually 4 at this point.
Of course, Dinkabui would never play into Nibiru foolishly.
There's also, I've just taken a look, Arvata is so good because it negates first, and then there is the, dark attacks over Arvata.
Not a problem, though. There is no dark monster in the graveyard of Dinkabui, or is it?
Shouldn't be.
I mean, it's a fire
terraforming set as a bluff, that is huge. Getting another extender because Dormouse hasn't been used. Funnily enough, the best effect of Dormouse, arguably, to banish some Maliss card from the deck, isn't going to be too useful because we have used White Rabbit and we have used Chessicat so far.
Indeed. So there is Maliss in Underground, the powerful field spell of the Maliss theme. Maliss as a deck still looking for his first YCS title.
Impulse on this Dormouse effect.
Oh, it might just happen. Oh, Dinkabui considering a set card, but allowing it once more. Dormouse to the field. Now again, the opportunity for Tony to go finally into one of his powerful link-free Maliss monsters.
Yep, and actually Whitebinder against this version of the Fire King deck is insane. You can take away so many resources at once. However, Garunix and Garunix are still on the field, so you can't banish those with Whitebinder. However, if you want to, later on you can go into a Hard Crypta and banish one of those. We have already been through our Link Decoder, so that is one card less that we are having. We're banishing the Dormouse, so we can use Crypta twice. That is also a very heads-up play. Won't trigger here, won't be able to be summoned, but you can use Crypta on your turn and then on the opposing turn as well, because you have to shuffle back a Maliss.
You cannot summon a Crypta with 2 monsters.
I'm really wondering what the
sometimes.
set card of Dinkabui is, because looking at his deck list, there's almost no cards that he could not activate, honestly, because there is just not that many spell and trap cards that he's running, and like he's running the pot cards. Surely he would have activated the pot cards on his opening turn. Then there's Infinite Impermanences, and then there's Skyburns and Sanctuaries, and that's essentially all the spell traps he's running that could be there. So there must be something else. The only card that he could not activate there would be a second copy of Fire King Sanctuary that he's running, so maybe he was unfortunate enough to have both of these. But I mean, we searched for another Sanctuary, right? Otherwise, like we would have just searched for the Skyburn instead. So I'm almost certain that the last set card there for Dinkabui might also be his last resort and another interaction in fact.
I mean, it has to be at this point, but which one could it be so that he doesn't... Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, because it feels like the Skyburn would have certainly been used on the two monsters before you allow your opponent to go into Whitebinder, right?
Yeah. Alright, banishing the Hyang just to get rid of it. At this point, no useful targets in the own graveyard at this point. We have used every single Maliss main deck monster, and Whitebinder is just now allowed to set up another trap card because it is protected by the trap card that was set this turn by White Rabbit, so possible impermanences or anything could be dodged easily. Team 11 being set now.
Just going through the different trap cards here, and we immediately go for TB11, banishing the Whitebinder. And of course, all the Maliss cards, including the Link monsters, do like it when they get banished, because that gives them the chance to activate their effects and return to the field with absolute quickness.
We summon out the Chessicat. Whitebinder will return in a second, pay 900 life points, but is also going to draw you a card that is going to be huge. We haven't set up the trap that searches and banishes later on, but this is a card that you can easily summon out on your opponent's turn as well, or set on your opponent's turn with a White Rabbit effect.
That is very true. Interesting game developing here. Tony and the Maliss strategy. He would be the first YCS champion with Maliss in Europe and also like in the TCG region in general, because last weekend Jeff Jones again fell short in top 4 with the Maliss deck, but now here in Europe it might happen that Maliss gets his first title.
SP Little Knight
targeting on the Fire King Islands. And Dinka already went through all of his graveyard effects, meaning if we do have to destroy Garunix and Garunix, once again, both copies of it, both different versions of it, they would not be able to activate anymore.
I mean, Garunix would come back in the standby phase, so that is something. But of course, Fire King Island is providing a lot of value. Gets banished, is going to trigger inevitably. Oh, and SP Little Knight banishes the Garunix as well in response. That is genius. So it will return in the end phase, not in the standby phase, to Darkhole.
Sets another card. Tony really piloting this matchup fantastically.
And now the Tipa's turn, he has DWC that can bring back Whitebinder, bans again monsters from Dinka's graveyard, and of course bring back White Rabbit and set MT7.
Yeah, this is looking grim for Dinka Bui here. Maliss showing why it is the game 1 deck of the format right here, because Whitebinder is just such a powerhouse.
For sure. Mike, you were saying in the beginning of game 1 that Tony may not be aware of how the Fire King deck works, but I feel like he piloted his turn there very well, which is impressive considering this is a YCS final and his, of course, first YCS final, compared to Dinka Bui sitting there casually playing another YCS final or another final in general.
So I think that he probably wasn't comfortable with the new support, the Volcanics.
Fair,
and I can tell that obviously he knows the old cards.
Oh, and that is a scoop from Dinka Bui. The GWC was hacked.
Yeah, I think that was a mini Riser detonator he formed there on the table, even though playing the Maliss strategy. And Dinka Bui starts up a pot of extravagance. That was the card that he top decked in an earlier feature match in top 8 that basically secured him the advancing into top 4 and then later on into the finals. But it does get mad right away with Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. Tony wasting no time.
That opens up Hita plays. I'm just saying.
You just never want to play Junip, though. Here. Oh, Pawnik's already in the hand, though. So Dinka Bui does already have access to his engine.
Do you think that Nib is still in the deck?
Oh, good point, very good point.
I mean, how many cards are you going to side out, though? So it's an open discussion, I think, at this point. Fire King Island being activated here. Pawnik's is being destroyed. We're going to search for possibly a Garunix, yes.
I mean, to be fair, Nib probably almost never really is in a Maliss deck that is also running the Dominus Impulse, right?
Very good point, yeah.
You probably can just disregard that card completely, having the idea that they are on Dominus Impulse.
I mean, there is the strategy that you side in Nibiru since your opponent doesn't expect them because you run Impulse, and you can cut your opponent off guard.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that.
I can see that, yeah.
And if you have draw both of them, you just keep Impulse after the Nibiru.
Yeah, and look at Tony. He looks comfortable right now, right? Yeah. Being up a game on the previous YCS champion here on his first YCS top, so why not? He is living the life and seeing Dinka Bui, again, just summoning 2 level 8 monsters to the field as he does for a living here this event.
Garunix and Garunix bros are on the field. very much. Oh, wow. Are we going into Heater? Are we going into Heater? We're going full combo. This is full combo for Dinkabui. He goes, hey, I'm in the YCS finals. If I can do more than necessary, then why don't I? So I think that setting up an extra... Oh, wow, he can actually use the Ulcanix there as well, of course. Promethean Princess is now set up as well. This is just so strong.
I like this. This is even better than the usual setup. Now Dinkabui not being scared of Nibiru anymore and just committing here. He knows he's down a game. He has to make things happen. He just saw how powerful the meta strategy is, how explosive it is. So we need as much as we get. And I mean, the field looks small, but I'm sure we can back it up with, for example, the Kirin in the hands.
Yeah, I mean, the field is extremely small. This is the tiniest full combo I have seen in years.
And it's very important that Arvada... I think that's a bait.
Maliss in underground.
Every single time this happens, I think, oh wow, is that a brick? No.
Yeah, it has gotten a theme, right? The same with Unchained, where they always started setting cards first, and now the Maliss deck kind of tricking us like that as well. Dominus Impulse right away on the Dormouse. Dinkabui does not want any Maliss monsters on the field here.
We need to start interacting with those cards very, very quickly. However, I want to say, when the Dormouse is summoned, it's a very, very good Promethean Princess. Oh, that is a pass!
It's a pass!
Is that a pass? Dinkabui!
Back over to Dinkabui. He read the situation perfectly. Tony with no other plays, and Dinkabui's turn it is again.
I mean, who could ever break a field of Fire King Ulcanix?
Agreed. I would have not an answer to that. Oh,
wow, now he has Arvada normal summon as well, which is apparently a crazy good play. Destroys the Kirin. We're going to get rid of the set card in just some seconds. Let's see if it was actually a bluff or if it was one of the Maliss traps.
Tony considering his cards in hand. Does he have a way to stop this? Does he even have a way to interact with this? There aren't that many ways to interact with it, to be fair. So we have to see. Tony thinking about it. If he wants to chain the set card, he better does it now, because otherwise Dinkabui is getting rid of it shortly.
This is absolutely intense. Ash Blossom has been used on Pot of Extravagance, but Dinkabui could use it to extend his combo to just pass on Ulcanix, which is enough with the Dominus Impulse. And this is very interesting. Of course, we are also seeing that Fire King Island destroyed the Kirin, so actually, apparently in this deck, if you add Arvada with Fire King Island, you are signalizing that you have Kirin in hand. Oh, Dominus Impulse is used on the last chain link there.
Which is Garunix.
Yeah. So we are going to see the Kirin pop summon something back.
It does, sure enough, look like that. Oh wait, Dinkabui thinking about a response here possibly.
Oh, yeah,
or maybe it is
course.
Tony that is thinking about adding another chain link here. But no, we do get to resolve things, and now the set card is gone, and it was indeed an... Oh, it was a Maliss trap. Yeah, it was TB11, true. And I mean, that's already big monsters on the field here. We are definitely pressuring the life points of Tony, who decimated them himself already by paying 300 for the activation of Dormouse. I wouldn't be surprised if Dinkabui can pull this off here. We do go for the Ponix.
A Ponix for a Ponix, an eye for an eye here in this duel. Dinkabui now going to add the Skyburn, of course.
With a burning passion, he is summoning fire monsters.
Heater
and the second Heater. We did not banish any Heaters. We can just use the second one as well. And there is the Promethean Princess now.
The Princess. Of course, he's playing multiple copies for the Pot of Extravagance. This is so much damage. Dinkabui is trying to go for game immediately. This field has snowballed so quickly.
This is absolutely game. And he picks up his cards. Know that he does have the Chaos Hunter option as well, possibly coming into his hand here. He hopes for it, that's for sure.
Going to see Allure. Are we chaining Lancea to that?
No. Oh, Dimension Shifter activated here from Tony, and it is crazy indeed. Oh,
shifters. So we were talking for Lancea, we were talking about Chaos Hunter, and we totally forgot about
we have to banish Magnamut though. Hold on. Is there maybe no Maliss cards in Tony's hand? He does not look satisfied. Set one passes it over. Dinkabui, the Grandmaster of Fire, that is nodding his head, not facing a field here whatsoever.
Is that the actual plot armor? But beware, he also can't really play here because Dimension Shifter is active. What is his plan against the Dimension Shifter?
The thing though is, I'm pretty sure that the Fire King Vikings do activate when destroyed, even when banished, but there is Ash Blossom and Joy Spring right away on the Ulcanix, just for battle phase. And I mean, as long as there is no monsters on the field for Tony, Dinka can also not crash the Ulcanix.
And this is a giga brain play from Tony saying, hey, I activate Shifter first so my Ash Blossom gets banished, so you don't summon it with Heater.
He passes back over. There is no way. What is this final?
Dinkabui is now sitting there with a graveyard that actually can be... Another Ulcanix is being summoned! Now, pop your Ulcanix from your field, or a card from hand that could be even better. There's another Ash Blossom, but we already have the Heater set up. Can Heater get back the Ash Blossom? 2 cards left in hand for Tony.
Oh my, Dinkabui has the advantage of monsters on the field. Look at Tony.
5 cards in hand as well.
I think that he already knows.
Look at Tony. That was not how he expected this game 3 to go. Heater once again trying. Oh, look, Tony is reading, just double checking. Yes, you can use 2 monsters with the same name, of course, as long as you do include a fire monster. And you will be able to go after that Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. The first one not going to the graveyard. This one, though, after the Shifter is gone, now in the graveyard.
Everyone cut your Ash Blossoms from your main decks. This is not worth it. Dinkabui is going to come around and summon it with Heater.
And we are back in the fire era.
Yeah, and we have to read this card over and over again. Dinkabui is just on a rampage this tournament. What is going to happen now? Is Tony going to answer this?
He's thinking about an impulse, maybe?
Possibly, yeah. It could be Impulse.
The thing is, Ulcanix was already activated this turn, so even if you go into the Promethean Princess, Dominus Impulse is the answer to the Heater, the Fire Charmer Ablaze. Even better than an Impermanence.
Oh, just the battle phase.
Another
More
kick.
battle damage, shipping in here. Life points of Tony diminishing. And he needs a top deck here, because if he just passes it back over to Dinkabui, that Heater would be free to go after the Ash Blossom in the opponent's graveyard again.
He needs to find a big top deck here. The deck has so many one-card starters. I think he... Normal
He
summons
did
Dormouse!
He is ready to turn this back around. That is the card he needed,
And
but there is the Latzea.
Solemn Strike with Latzea! This is impossible! Tony is going crazy here. The home country hero, Solemn striking Latzea, winning the Latzea minigame. Can they win the YCS?
Resolution, though?
Oh, and that is not possible. The Lancea did not resolve, therefore you are not able to activate this triple tactic thrust. The monster, the activation was negated, so it is like it never happened. And therefore Tony cannot activate it.
There's no effect Veiler activated. Dinkabui, do you have Dominus Impulse to answer the Rabbit?
Or does he?
It doesn't look like it. Rabbit is being summoned. Rabbit is being activated. We are accelerating so fast. Another trap card will be set to the spell and trap zone of Tony.
It is going back and forth. It really looked like Dinkabui might be the one taking it here, but Tony, with that fantastic top deck of Dormouse, is fully back into it.
Patience is a virtue. Kept this Solemn Strike for as long as he could. Sets up a GWC already. Whew. What is this final?
Yes, and you can see Tony. He waited. He was ready, and he got rewarded. He trusted in his deck, and his faith was absolutely correct, because it has not disappointed until this very moment, and now he can capitalize, maybe taking down a YCS that style.
Dinkabui has 4 cards in hand. I severely doubt that there's nothing he can play with, because he always stopped after Ulcanix effect or the Heater effect was stopped. So there have to be more interruptions. Lingerie will being activated now as a possible answer to the Dominus Impulse.
That is true. Playing around the inputs, but Dinkabui, does he have something to do here?
Maybe Chaos Hunter, because he is taking on summon.
Oh, he is thinking about it. We know there could just be a Kirin that tries to activate from the hand. But no, Dinkabui says, no, I'm not thinking. You can do whatever you like. Go ahead. We do activate now our trap card. We do activate the GWC06.
Yep, summons out the White Rabbit. And Dormouse is being activated, 300 damage as well. Dinkabui kicked for quite some damage before, but that wasn't enough to put him in 300 life points range here, so that you could lose the game by activating a Maliss monster. Not gonna happen. Oh, we're going to see the first Link 3 of this game here. Is it going to be a white binder, or are we going to go for red ransom? Because we haven't used the Chassis Cat yet. We haven't used... what are we doing here?
But honestly, the moment Tony in game number 2, or game number 1 it was rather, the moment he had the chance to go into one of his link-free monsters, it was absolutely going into his direction. And he does now again have the chance. The white binder is on the field.
I mean, once the deck gets rolling, there's very, very few cards that can stop it. Ash Blossom being Ash Blossom being banished by White Binder is pure comedy gold, and actually a smart decision on the side of Tony, because we have seen what Hita does, and I mean, you have to consider Hita, especially when it's in the field versus you.
Indeed. So banishing the cards. And that Artifact Lancea there on top of Dinkabui's graveyard. The most popular side deck card out of the entire YCS, sitting there really, really sad because it was met by the Solemn Strike from Tony.
What is in Dinkabui's hand? He has 3 cards left in hand. He discarded the Lancea, which was the 4th card. Something has to happen here.
To be honest, Dinka has the info of Thrust.
Yeah.
Either we like it or not. So he may be, you know, thinking about when to use his interruption.
Yep, that's a very good point.
Okay, setting another card.
Must be the TB11. Yep. Banishing the white binder, which is going to just get more Maliss monsters, more cards drawn. Dinka picks up his cards. I'll put them down again.
Back down
Jessica on the field. White binder is going to be activating soon. 900 more life points being paid, but that does not matter. We still have 11 minutes on the clock, and I think that Tony is going to try and close out this game this turn.
He might as well, and the Maliss deck is not the one struggling with that. We said the Ryzer deck can sometimes have problems with it, but not the Maliss deck. So many ways, and even in-engine way of having so much damage on the field, of course, with the Red Ransom. Oh no, the Hard Cryptor it is, right?
Cryptor,
yes, Hard Cryptor can just, by banishing itself in the battle phase, provide some additional damage.
There are no Maliss on the banishment zone, though.
Ooh, you're right, yeah.
Yep.
Here comes Splash Mage.
So won't be his plan, because otherwise he would have banished those cards before. Goes into the Chassis Cat here.
Red Ransom, maybe?
That kind of has to be, right?
It is indeed Red Ransom. Dinkabui nodding his head still. Tony keeps on going. Tony's life points, though, have been going down quite a bit here.
It's a little interesting, because what are we doing with Red Ransom here and with the field spell? Because, we haven't used Chassis Cat banishment effect, right?
I'm pretty sure we have not, and that's what Tony is thinking. That's what he's searching for there in his deck. And that is the Chassis Cat also activating, further lowering his own life points, but of course getting rewarded with many monsters that he summons off of that.
The thing is, if he goes for an access code talker play to close out the game quickly, Hita will trigger. Can Hita get him anywhere?
Yeah, because then he can activate the Thrust, but the field will be empty, though, and no motion will be on the field.
But
so
can Hita get Dinkabui anywhere?
I think it adds here.
So we are going to link off Red Ransom and the Chassis Cat. By now we have used all of the Maliss cards that are currently in the graveyard, except for Red Ransom that just hit the...
What is this going to be now?
I have no idea.
Probably Access.
Yeah, must be Access Code Talker, actually. Tony, considering his options, actually not really sure himself. What is this going to be?
I mean, the thing is, the Hita is very scary.
Firewall Dragon, maybe?
Effect.
Look, he's considering Firewall as well. I mean, Firewall is a better way to clear out the Hita, possibly.
But you have to co-link it.
Yeah. Okay, there is Firewall Dragon, indeed.
Is he just gonna attack over it now? What is happening? Is he just attacking?
Honestly,
Basti, Mike?
We had so many monsters, and now all of this is just ending in one singular Firewall Dragon. Tony kept on going, and maybe he just went autopilot and he's just passing it back over to Dinkabui. What is all of that ending in?
Maybe there is a Beastil in his hand, so he can set up some Maliss in Dinka's turn.
But I mean, major factor here as well is that Dinkabui is just simply ahead in life points, and he's also the turn player again now.
8 minutes left remaining, and Dinkabui can't activate the Hita, but it is a Link 2 monster already established on the field. He has 4 cards in hand now, if I'm not mistaken, and those cards will have to get him somewhere. Something has to happen with those cards. It didn't stop anything from the Maliss engine. They have to proactively make the turns better, right? Can you just go battle phase attack? I mean, surely it's a Garunix?
Yeah, that's the case.
There has to be a Garunix.
Okay. Looks like we are trying to... What are we thinking about here?
I mean, we're crashing to summon out Garunix.
I think so too, but they are
Cheetah
contemplating
can also
options here.
add stuff
Yeah.
like Vulcanix, Kirin.
I don't think it can add Vulcanix, right? Can it add Ponix? Or is it... Wait, let me actually check. I think it's 1000 defense, 1-5 defense or lower, because you couldn't add Ash Blossom.
It is, but
no?
Ponix is super
Yeah.
small, so Ponix
Yeah.
definitely works. Ponix has 200
What about
defense.
Kirin? Is Kirin not 200?
Oh,
defense?
but there is a Bestial. We do have Druid's Worm, and I think that is the reason why we left the Hita on the field, to have the
Yeah.
ability to use our Bestials as quick effects. So Bestial Druid's Worm is going to banish the White Binder, but Dinkabui, does he have a
Impulse?
response? Maybe a Chaos Hunter as well?
Impulse
It
Hunter
is
Blossom.
Chaos Hunter indeed! He has the answer, and he's discarding his Garunix.
Wait a second, because, oh, there is another Chaos Hunter here. It can't be bounced as well. Garunix is in the graveyard. Doesn't matter if it's in the hand or not. We're going to co-link the Firewall Dragon, the iconic boss monster, but does it help him?
Double Chaos Hunter. We may have not resolved our Artifact Lancea, but we have a double better version of Artifact Lancea now with Chaos Hunter on the field, having the continuous effect that your opponent cannot banish cards.
This is absolutely crazy right now. So what does that mean? Firewall Dragon can bounce the Hita Fire Charmer Ablaze to the hand right now. Won't do it though. Now Garunix is going to be able to trigger in the graveyard. Hita is going to be able to trigger and give him Kirin or a Ponix, or maybe Avatar even.
We are going to attack. We take some damage, so still massively ahead in life points here, of course. Note, please, Tony again paid more life points, down
Yeah.
to 2050. Definitely not that much more here. And we only have 6.5 minutes remaining. Is Dinkabui really lining up here for another YCS victory? Tony allows him now to activate the effect of Hita here.
I mean, you are playing Maliss in a YCS final game 3 and you're facing 2 Chaos Hunter. I cannot imagine how Tony's feeling right now.
Yep, and that is, he revealed the triple tactics thrust way too early when he couldn't activate it. Given that information, Dinkabui just didn't activate the Chaos Hunters when he didn't have to. So now, on his turn, proactively he can summon them out.
Yeah,
Very interesting. It also didn't chain them to the Druid's Worm.
I mean, Chaos Hunter only works on the summon of the monster, right?
really?
Isn't
Right,
that
yeah.
how Chaos Hunter
indeed.
works?
I think
on
so,
the
yeah.
special summon of the monster.
Exactly. So Tony, you can clearly tell by his facial expression that he is not expecting those Chaos Hunters, and definitely not in a YCS final, but Dinkabui knows his matchups, and he brought this card specifically for this matchup, of course.
So revealing Thrust, it was very important, played a huge role before.
Yeah. Garunix coming in hot here is going to not coming in hot here. We're still waiting for this. So Garunix, what could possibly happen now? Garunix can special summon itself out in the damage step already. We have taken some damage. Firewall Dragon can still bounce once. It is co-linked to once. It can only do that once per duel, if I remember correctly. It's been a while with this card. Garunix would summon itself out, can pop Kirin. There is nothing in the graveyard that profits from a Kirin.
I don't think it is one per duel. Rather
Oh,
than
actually,
once.
one thing that we are considering right now, one thing that is getting debated here right now, I think, is whether you can even activate 2 Chaos Hunters on the same chain. And I'm honestly not entirely
Apparently,
sure,
yes.
but it seems like we do have the confirmation now. Judges, of course, very good to make sure in the YCS final that everything is going right. And it is going right. You have 2 Chaos Hunters on the field for Dinkabui.
Kirin summons out the Avatar, or the Avatar summoned itself out.
And I think that's
Amazing.
game actually.
Is it game?
Oh,
Yeah,
it's so
Tony
much
is
damage already.
2000 life points.
Druid's Worm is still
like
there.
it.
Yeah.